You wake up, you check your phone, 20 minutes gone. You open your messages, scroll through a couple of memes, funny but forgettable. You swipe, click, swipe again. Before your feet even touch the floor, you've lost the most focused part of your day to noise you won't remember tomorrow. Multiply that by 365. That's over 120 hours, 5 full days lost before breakfast, and we're just getting started. Most people think wasted time comes in big blocks. The hours spent binge watching, procrastinating, avoiding deep work. But the truth is more dangerous. You don't notice the time slipping away because it's not being stolen. You're trading it mindlessly for things that don't matter. It's not obvious, it's invisible, and that's why it's so deadly. The average adult checks their phone 96 times a day, not because they need to, because they're conditioned to. Dopamine loops fire up at the slightest sense of boredom. You've trained your brain to run away from stillness, and that's the trap. Most of your day is spent reacting, not living. You're not actually short on time. You're short on presence. There's a difference, and the distinction defines the quality of your life. Now, imagine this. You wake up tomorrow. You live that day with total clarity. Every hour, intentional. Every decision, aligned. That version of you exists. Just buried under distractions. You no longer even realize you bang. Today, we're going to unearth them. Let us start by flipping a lie that ruins most people's potential. Being busy is not the same as being effective. You felt this, those days where you jump from task to task, calls, messages, errands, emails, check marks, flying. But by 10 p.m., you feel no closer to the life you want. You collapse into bed, knowing you did a lot, but you didn't get anywhere. That's not productivity. That's motion sickness, okay? We confuse activity for progress. But movement without direction is just noise. And too often, we're buried in urgent things that aren't important. Here's the trap. We optimize for efficiency, not purpose. We want to check boxes because checking boxes feels safe, feels like control. But the boxes aren't leading anywhere, not to the book you meant to write, not to the body you said you'd build, not to the life you promised yourself at the start of the year. Most people live this way, trapped inside high-effort, low-impact loops. So what's the fix? First, you have to see where the leaks are. Start with the invisible hours, micro-moments, the time between things, that 10-minute gap before your next call. Okay, that stretch of scrolling before lunch. The YouTube rabbit hole that started with one video and ended 45 minutes later when you forgot why you opened the app. Now, isolate just 3 of those daily habits. Don't do anything radical, just list them. You'll start to notice something strange. These habits all feel innocent, little things, but they're stitched into your day like unconscious rituals, okay? And together, they're stealing more than your time. They're wasting your potential. Because every time you do something automatic, you're giving up awareness. And what you lose, ice and tea, just time. It's the ability to direct your life. Stay. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they read too heavy to be broken. Most of everything you do today is a consequence of past choices you no longer even question. But what if you did? Right now, there's a cost you've been paying every day. It doesn't show up on your bank account, but it's charging your dreams interest, the cost of wasted attention. One of the greatest truths modern life hides from you is this: your attention is more valuable than your time, because where your attention goes, your time follows. Hijack someone's attention, and you hijack their life. That's what algorithms are designed to do. That's what autoplay does. That's what endless scroll was built for. Okay? Millions of dollars have been invested into keeping you distracted. Okay? You not losing this battle because you lazy. You were never meant to win without taking control. So how do you get it back? For starters, realize what's at stake. This isn't just about getting more done. It's about living deliberately. It's about no longer letting your life be dictated by other people's agendas, by shiny notifications, by invisible habits that make you feel useful without actually being useful, okay? And that begins with reclaiming your mornings, not by filling them with 17 habits from a billionaire's routine, but by doing one thing differently, choosing consciousness over convenience. When you wake up, resist the pull. Don't grab your phone. Give yourself 15 minutes without input. No messages, no notifications, just your thoughts. In that quiet space, your best ideas live. In that space, you stop reacting and start initiating. It's where direction begins. Next, practice single tasking. We're told that multitasking is efficient, but every neuroscience study says the opposite. What we call multitasking is actually task switching, and each switch incurs a cognitive cost. K. It fragments your focus, increasing stress while reducing the quality of your output. You don't need more time. You need fewer switches. Block your work, protect your flow, decide what matters, and guard your energy like it's money, because it is. Every distraction is a debt. Every interruption, a withdrawal. Comes the hardest part, saying no, not maybe, not later. A clear, aligned no, because every yes you give is a no to something else. The people who truly master their time, Dan T, do more. They just do less of what doesn't matter. You'll be tempted to check that extra message, to open that app just for a second, to react instead of choose. That's normal. But every time you resist, you train your brain to reclaim its agency. You don't need willpower. You need systems. Put the distractions further than your impulses. Time block autopilot work. Schedule deep work. Put notifications on delay. Build a physical space that reduces temptation, not with discipline, but with design. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming intentional. And once you do that, once you take the 90% of your day that was being wasted by invisible distractions and friction, and redirect just a fraction of it, the shift is undeniable. Not because you're doing more, but because now you're in control of your direction. You've just reclaimed your most valuable asset, your attention. And attention, when focused, becomes power. Now that your attention is back in your control, here's the next truth. Time doesn't need to be managed. It needs to be designed. You can't manage 24 hours. You can only choose who you become within them. When someone says they don't have time, what they're really saying is, I don't have clarity. You always have time. You just don't have priorities sharp enough to cut through the noise. Let's do something that will make you uncomfortable. Picture yourself at 85 years old. Not the highlight reel, not the achievements. It's just you, sitting there, remembering what you said yes to, what you traded time for, who you said not now to, thinking you had more later. That version of you. They're not impressed that you answered every email in under 10 minutes. They read, not giving you points for staying late at the office every night while your life slipped by outside the window. They're not asking if your LinkedIn profile was up to date. Okay. They're asking you one thing. Did you actually live? Most don't, because they confuse efficiency with purpose, distraction with rest, busy work with progress. So how do you make sure that version of you smiles, not regrets? You learn to design your hours around meaning, not maintenance. Here's where it begins. Break your day into 3 zones: output, input, and presence. That's it. Every block of time you use should fall into one of these zones. The output zone is creation. Deep work, making things, moving forward. This is your impact time, where your work actually pushes you closer to your goals. It's what pays off later. The input zone is learning, recovery, rest, reading, listening, stretching, stillness. This is your fuel, what fills you up, not drains you. And then that's the present zone, the moments that do end to show up on a to-do list, but define quality of life. Dinner with your partner, watching the sunset, laughing with a friend without checking your phone. This is life itself. 3. Not wasting time because you re-weak. You re-wasting it because you haven't assigned value to these areas. You've allowed the urgent to dominate the important. But here's the trick. You don't need to overhaul everything. You just need to reclaim one block each day. Start with a single hour. One focused, untouchable, fulfilling hour. Give it to something that creates momentum, not anxiety. Something with depth, not dopamine. The craziest part is that 1 hour protected daily will outperform 10 hours of shallow effort. Because when your time is directed by clarity, it compounds. Think of clarity like mental compound interest. One aligned moment leads to a better choice. A better choice leads to a higher mood. A higher mood leads to a more confident approach. And that confidence, given time, shapes who you become. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing motivation. You're being pulled by direction. But here's something powerful most people never stop to realize. Rest itself is productive. Too many burn out chasing dreams. Not because they're weak, but because they never understood that the brain, like any system, needs downtime to process, reorganize, and integrate new experience. If you never rest, you never grow. You just grind, okay? And grinding is friction, not forward. So rest, walk with no headphones. Okay, sit with no screen. Journal, think, let your mind wander. Let silence sharpen your thinking instead of numbing it with noise. Because here's what's happening in your brain when you rest. You stop reacting, you begin reflecting. And reflection is the only way to learn from your own decisions. That's why the most productive people don't just plan their days, they review them. Every evening, ask this: what did I give my energy to today? Did it move me closer to the life I want, or just keep me busy? That one question rewires everything. Most people never pause long enough to ask it, okay? But those that do, they catch problems early. They optimize faster, okay? They grow intentionally. And if clarity gives your time value, reflection multiplies it. Okay? Now, let's talk about something we touched on earlier, your environment. Because it's not enough to want change. You have to reduce the resistance in your path. Look around you, your desk, your apps, your notifications, your digital workspace. Does it reflect the life you're building or the life you're defaulting to? Design beats discipline. You need to get better at resisting temptation. You need to see it less often. You don't need to rely on focus. You need to reduce what pulls it away. So if Instagram eats 2 hours of your day, don't delete it. Make logging in require effort. Log out. Move it off your home screen. Make your defaults hard and your goals easy. This isn't about willpower. It's about leverage. The most productive people are not disciplined robots. They're architects. They've built systems around themselves that support their best behavior and eliminate the worst. And maybe the most important system of all, your belief about time. Because if you believe your time isn't valuable, you'll continue wasting it without guilt. You'll binge mediocrity. Say yes out of obligation. Live in reactivity. And one day, you'll run out. Not because life cheated you, but because you never claimed your power. So ask yourself honestly, who is the architect of my hours? Me or the algorithm? If that question bothers you, good. It means you're waking up. Choosing to reclaim your time isn't just about better productivity. It's a declaration that your days belong to you now, not your past self, not people pleasing. It's not false urgency. Time isn't something we lose. Time is something we trade, okay? And every day you get to decide what you're trading it for. Distraction or direction, comfort or creativity, autopilot or awareness. 1 year from now, future you will thank you for every moment you stole back and used wisely. 5 years from now, you won't remember the Instagram reels you didn't see, but you will remember that single hour you blocked off to learn a new skill, right? That first chapter. Start your business. Have that deep conversation. Walk your mind back into peace. And when people ask, how did you do it? You won't say hustle. You won't say chaos. You'll say this: I stopped letting the world decide what what I did with my time. I stopped chasing everything and started choosing what mattered. Dams to fix. And that's where everything changes. Not next year. Not next week.